Hey, Razzballers, what is up? It's Nick. It's Thursday. I think it's May 22nd. I don't know. The dates really aren't relevant to me except August the 4th, which is when we kick off the 32 and 32 and 32 tour. So just before I get to Sky, by the way, we got Sky and we got Rudy today. So it's going to be a great show. Not an average show like normal. It's going to be great today. But I got into the studio this morning and there was a major issue. The coffee machine wasn't working. And I'll tell you this is no joke. I get in here at 6 o'clock in the morning because it takes me about 2 hours to put the hot sheet together. By the way, if you haven't heard the hot sheet yet, at Razzball Hot Sheet, basically I put the entire day's fantasy knowledge that you're going to require into like a 4-minute little snippet. You can get that at razzballradio.com. If you're watching this, you already probably know that. But anywho, so let me tell you, doing that without coffee is kind of like having to deal with Sky when he hasn't done any prep, as usual. So I might sip on this coffee as we do the show. I apologize for my unprofessionalism. Because, Sky, this show is nothing if professional. I can tell that you're prepped for professionalism. You got your coffee, too, because you just came out of the shower, your hair is wet, you're still poorly lit. I mean, you know what would be great, Sky? If we were actually doing a show where the guest was the back of your room, because that's very well lit. You still got the Korean scary mask up. Your hair's wet. I feel like I'm looking at a black shape, like one of those. Remember the movie Ghost?
Yeah.
The little things used to come in and pull the soul away. That's kind of what you look like right now.
Ditto. How about that? You're the one bring up the movie. I'll go with ditto. No, you should feel blessed here. I both showered and put on deodorant for you. My wife doesn't even get that all the time. So
lucky wife. By the way, why doesn't your wife want Jay Rong and I crashing at your pad when we come up to? Because what's going to happen is when we start the tour April 4th, Jay Rong is going to be with me the whole time. So Jay is going to fly to Phoenix, and he and I we're going to drive up. We're going to hit LA, hang out with Gray. Head up to Eugene because it's on the way to Seattle. We were going to hang out with you, but now I don't know if that's going to happen because apparently we're not welcome in the Sky household.
Well, you got to realize I'm lucky enough that I get to sleep here. The fact of even inviting more friends over of my ilk, that's questionable.
Yeah, but we're better looking. We're better groomed. We're better lit.
So now you're just telling me I'm getting competition. I don't need that. It's already hard enough to keep what I got. Don't bring your handsome ass beard up in this place. That ain't gonna help. I gotta keep the wife happy with what she has.
If there's anyone in Eugene who's got a place for Jay and I to crash, I'm just kidding. We're gonna stay at hotels on this tour. I have a budget for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you actually do want to crash and you can find your way into it, definitely do it. We can make it work, but you guys might have to be bed buddies.
Okay, that's not going to happen. I don't fit in a double bed by myself. Second, you still got those creepy Korean masks, so we're not doing that.
Jay will snuggle with you. Don't worry.
That's what you want. You want a 6'3" and a 5'11" guy snuggling in. Do you even have a double bed, or would you try and throw us a curveball and be like, oh, we got a futon, it's wicked.
No, the bed's great, but I'll make sure not to drink as much as you guys so that I can take a pic of him drooling on your bare chest in the morning, and that way I have fodder for later.
I do have a nice chest.
Yeah. I'm assuming it's pretty hairy. I'm thinking like total 70s, Starsky. You could just let that sucker shine.
No, maybe not at all, man. Listen. I know how to manscape. No, for sure, man. I keep myself tidy.
I believe you. I believe you.
I don't live in my mom's basement.
I believe you because I don't want to know.
I don't live in my mom's basement or in my wife's extra guest bedroom.
My wife's shadow. Oh.
What?
My wife's shadow. Oh, get it? No, you don't get it.
I don't. Okay.
All right, that's all right.
The reason we're kind of droning on here is because, again, Sky is unprepared for the show.
Says the man drinking his coffee mid show.
Hey, man, I was on time, brother. I get up at 5 a.m. Okay, I get up at 5 a.m. So you Razzballers can sleep off your hangovers, get up at the crack of noon, get the hot sheet emailed to your inbox. Life's good. You can set all that up at razzballradio.com.
Wow.
Okay, so Gray, Rudy's coming on after you, which
Right.
doesn't make sense because if this was a well-produced show, we'd have Rudy on first. I mean, it's like bringing the AAA guy who just got called up because someone was injured, and we're gonna bat him lead off today. No, I'm just kidding. I'm picking on you,
I
man.
go from one of the smartest guys in Razzball down to AAA call up, like all within a week. My facade is already gone. This is not good.
Well,
I'm
and
happy with the show.
that's what happens, Sky, when you don't fix your lighting as I requested, when you don't close your closet door, which I had to get you to scramble to do before. You haven't taken down the Korean mask. And quite frankly, I would have appreciated if you at least blow-dried your hair or something before you came on.
I'm enjoying the swoop personally. This is not a normal look for me, but I think I'm gonna have to rock it from now on.
Rocket. Yeah. Okay, so we should probably talk a little fantasy baseball before John, the angry commentator. That's slightly better.
Send me back down to AAA.
What is our AAA team? What's Razzball's AAA team?
Is
Is it the Sky podcast? I mean, is that what happens? You know, you get demoted from Razzball?
wherever it is, it's probably there's a team called the Skeeters. It would have to be the Razzball Skeeters. I don't know where it would be based.
Does Eugene have a minor league team?
We do, the Eugene Emeralds. I want to say that they're low A ball. So it's not the best baseball, but at the same time, it is baseball. So I do catch a few over the summer.
Well, you've got a major league team there. The
A major
Ducks.
a major league baseball team? Yeah. Just because Uncle Phil's paying for it doesn't mean that we're part of the MLB.
All right. So since we can't purdy you up today, let's talk a little fantasy baseball. So we've been talking lately since we've had you on because we haven't really figured out the Sky segment yet. You know, is he a deep league guy? Is he a day league guy? Is he just here to shoot the breeze with me?
I go deep daily.
If I had coffee, I would have hit that one off the tee, but I'm just catching up. So, Sky, tell me. Let's talk about a guy you and I were both watching last night, Brandon McCarthy.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about him. I want to say it was last week where I said you should go pick him up. It wasn't his best start, but not many starts in St. Louis usually are for anybody. But any guy who can give you 6 innings and only give up 1 run, over the course of the game, is a guy you should be rostering. The numbers right now still look ugly. He's still got a 4+ ERA. He's still got an okay WHIP, but he's not going to float out there for very long, and he's going to be one of those guys that's going to help stabilize your roster, give you good Ks, and he's just going to sit out there until the numbers start looking good. But this is the time you get on him so that you can beat the rush.
Okay. Speaking of guys who look good or don't look good, I'm not going. If I didn't see just a black blur, I maybe would have got the reference there.
Yeah.
So I kind of went a little bananas in the hot sheet this morning talking about Jeff Samardzija.
There's too many consonants in there.
Here's the deal with him. His ER, actually, I have the numbers right here.
Yeah.
54 Ks. Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet. He's doing just below a K per inning. 1.46 ERA. Okay. You with me?
Yeah.
1.09 WHIP. I mean, that's some pretty good numbers.
They're stellar.
Here's the difference between him and Johnny Cueto. He's got 0 wins. It's mid-May. We're a quarter of the way through the season. How bad are the Cubs that Samardzija has 0 wins? So here's my pitch, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm serious. Even though his numbers are sparkling, he is going to get traded. It's inevitable. He's going to go to a contender. And you know, his owners are like chafing. They're staring at that 0 win. Because basically, he's kind of a reliever right now. He's kind of a ratio reliever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is that... I know it's not a buy low, but you got to have some people just kind of, It's not like Prince Fielder where people are just upset, where you're worried about, the big tub of goo and his injuries. Samardzija is pitching fantastic. So, I mean, what would you give up for Samardzija right now?
Uh, you know, for me, it's hard because I'm a stats guy, so I'm looking at the stats anytime I'm looking at a player on whether or not they're a buy or not. I ignore wins. So in terms of seeing him as a buy low, it's hard for me, but I could definitely see antsy owners who are just freaking out about wins that they could definitely give him up. For a Samardzija type, I would be willing to give up a top 20 pitcher in return. It would be more of a like for like, and hoping that the wins column starts balancing out a little bit. But you could probably get him for maybe like a top 40 type instead, just because of that wins hanging out there and kind of sitting heavy.
I'm just saying, to me strategically, that's a guy I would try and go get because again, you're saying, oh, I'm a stat guy. Well, you also write for Razzball, and for the moment are coming on this show. But I mean that's a guy I'd go out and try and make a move for because again, you're not. It's different than if a guy is having terrible numbers because he's been hurt or a pitcher coming back from an injury. I mean, the numbers have been there. It's just not the wins, and he's going to get traded to a contender. Plus, just statistically, as bad as the Cubs are, I mean, he's got to back into some wins.
Yeah, I mean, if he'll probably if he stays with the Cubs, he probably ends the year with 8 to 10 wins, let's say, which isn't a great number, but they're all from here on out, and the quarter of the season's gone. So that in and of itself is a sell, or a sell to go get him. But yeah, so I wanted to hit you up with some stuff here.
Oh, so that's what we do. We show up unprepared, and then we ask Nick questions. Okay, shoot.
We're going to talk some DraftKings, bro.
Okay, well, just so you know, actually, Rudy and I, once you and I are done, we're going to go into some heavy DFSbot stuff. So,
cool.
But yeah, no, we got a couple more minutes here. We only wasted about 20 minutes talking about the blur that is you. Shoot me some questions. I'm ready. Let's go. I like this. I like the reverse.
I was going to throw some ideas and plays out at you today. I did come prepared. I texted you, but somebody doesn't read their text very well apparently.
Here's the text from Sky last night, verbatim.
Yeah.
Nick, I'm pissed off with Gray again. I didn't get my Fruit Loops this month. He tried to mess me up, and he sent me Sugar Smacks instead.
That's clearly code for talking DK, dude. I don't know how much more. I don't know how better I can make it for you. No, I just wanted to throw out today a crazy call since we're low on time.
Crazy call.
Wade Miley is a great GPP play today because no one's going to start him. His numbers are ugly, but the Cardinals have one of the worst team WOBAs against the left-handed pitching. So he's a great play. And while I was down there checking his stats out for today, I ended up stumbling into Waylon Chen. Both of these guys are below 8K, and both teams are facing our first worst and second worst against left-handed pitching in terms of team WOBA. So they're definitely huge plays today. And San Diego.
Wasn't Big Woba a rapper from the 80s?
That should be Gray's gangsta name, Big Woba. That would totally fit with being the baseball guy. That'd be awesome.
Okay, so you like Miley today. I actually mentioned Miley in the hot sheet, so that's a good call. And Chen. And
San Diego versus
Stoltz.
Stoltz.
I haven't even posted the hot sheet yet, man. Did you go into my brain today?
No. I was actually going to. I might be a little contrarian to you. I think that game goes to the over. I think the Vegas line is 6-5 or 7 runs. Arrieta, he walks too many guys, and the Cubs actually mash pretty well against the left-handed pitching. So, I'm going out and I'm getting Olt, I'm getting Castillo, I'm getting Emilio Bonifacio. And I'm talking, this is GPP. I'm not talking about your cash games. I'm talking about, trying to be contrarian, getting in on some pads and some Cubs hitters.
Can you explain what GPP is, please?
Yeah. Guaranteed prize pool. That's the ones where you're playing against thousands of other guys, and maybe the percentage of the pool of cash is maybe only going to go to about 18% of the people playing. So you really have to basically beat the shift. You have to go the opposite direction of what everyone's going to go. A lot of people will play Hector Sanchez because he was cheap last night and he's playing in Colorado at catcher at 2,500. Well, in a GPP, that's not smart. He'll probably be rostered by about 40 to 50% of other teams because he's cheap and they can build around him.
Don't talk about the man personally. You don't know how he tips. Come on, Sky.
So,
all right, listen, you want to throw a couple more names out there real quick because we got like a minute here?
Let's get in on take advantage of Edison Volquez too. He's pitching today. So
I saw his numbers look good, but I can't justify Volquez.
No, the opposite. Take advantage of him. Go in and also on the opposite side. This is another game where I feel like the numbers are going to push. Neither pitcher is really good on the mound in Pittsburgh today. So take advantage and fill your roster. And if Josh Harrison starts again, he's rosterable at third base. And I think he's going for about 2,800, and he's been hitting leadoff when he starts. So
I'm looking for a pen. It's not that I'm ignoring you, but you see that light right above you there? That's highlighting the Korean mask. Let's do this. How about next Tuesday when you come back on? If you come back on, why don't you take down the Korean mask, which scares the crap out of me, and put it in front of your face so we can see that pretty face. Because right now, it's like one of those movies where like the dark hooded guy's in the corner, and it's like, I've got daily fantasy tips for you.
That maybe I should just start talking like that. I think that'd be great.
All right. We got to get out of here, buddy. But Jay Rong and I, we are coming through Eugene. So get those craft breweries ready.
Yeah. They'll be ready, and so will the bed for both of you.
We're not crashing your place, dude. You don't have guns.
I don't even own a gun. No.
I thought you were from Oregon.
Oregon. Yeah.
All right, Sky, get out of here.
All right, I'm out.
Bye, Sky. See you later, alligator. All right.
Out.
We'll be right back with Rudy, who hopefully will give us some good content. And we're back. Not that we really went anywhere. Now, since Sky siphoned way more time than he deserves, especially since he can't, get his act together, let's bring in the brains behind the operation, Mr. Rudy Gamble. Rudy,
Hello.
You get as much time as you want.
Thank you. It might get edited though.
No, man. I just free flow.
Cutting room floor is brutal.
I don't really edit this. I basically, if I do two segments, just kind of tape them together. That's it.
So you're saying you're not going to edit Sky's thing to take out words to make it sound homosexual referential? Like it's not going to be like, I like can.
Sky does that on his own. I don't need to edit it.
Okay, it's already.
That guy walks into more traps than a beaver in Alaska.
Yeah. It's already pro blackmail. You don't have to do anything to it. It's like he digs his grave.
Absolutely.
Nice.
So what I wanted to talk to you about today was over the next few weeks, I'd like to kind of get into the tools with you specifically, but I want to start with the DFSbot. And the reason is, I know I've said this like 3 times today, but I get in here really early every day to do the hot sheet. Basically what I do is I spend a couple hours and I kind of go through all this data because the tools are amazing if you're just looking for one streamer tonight. But if you really kind of want the entire envelope, it does take time to do it. So I roll up my sleeves and get that done. First thing I want to talk to you about with the DFSbot, who I've nicknamed Body, just because I couldn't come up with anything more creative. I should probably run that by people who are funnier than I. But you made a change recently, which is a great one. And this goes back to a question Gareth actually asked last week. How come some of these guys are projected so high when they really shouldn't be? So, not that they shouldn't be, but the matchups make sense, but this guy might not necessarily start. I'll let you explain it, but basically what you've done is you've rejigged it so that it's now based on projected points for the day, right?
Right. So it's just how the way it works is that any guy who's on the active roster for a hitter is projected, because I don't know who'll start beforehand. So it could be like a game in Colorado. It's a day game after a night game, and the backup catcher plays.
Yep.
And it could be that the DFS services rate him really low because he never plays. Well, it doesn't matter. For that day, he's getting his 3 or 4 at-bats. Could be a great value. So I project for everyone. And I do put a percent likelihood they're going to start. And that isn't me every morning waking up to figure it out. It's kind of figures out, like, how has this guy done the last 30 days? Has he been playing lefties versus righties? So it already knows if a guy's a platoon player.
I'm really glad you brought that up, Rudy, because I didn't know that. And that was one of the columns I would look at. And I was trying to figure out, is this based on the likelihood or how often he's been started in, a service like DraftKings? But so you basically, how long did you spend on this thing?
No, I mean, that one's a pretty straightforward one. It matters the data we get in, but it's basically last 30 days, how often do they start against righties versus lefties? With some hacks in there that, let's say Ryan Brunn comes back tomorrow.
Yep.
You'd look in the last 30 days, he hasn't played a lot. He's been on the DL. That's the stuff that takes work, that it basically says, well, I remember from the preseason, he plays every day when he's healthy, and it'll correct for that. It's the scrubs that you'll see. It might take a little while for, let's say like Dickerson on the Rockies to calm down on his percent because Kadyr's back.
Right.
But Kadire, it'll say 80, 90%, he's not going to get buried. So, but that has no impact on projected points. I assume everyone's going to start and they'll hit pretty much where they generally hit in the lineup when they do.
Okay.
Now there's many columns you could sort by whatever you want, but it was sorting by who's the best bargain. And the problem was you'd see scrubs at the top because, that you probably might not even start. Like today's was Jonathan Herrera.
Right.
And it's like, I didn't want people coming in and saying, oh, this thing's broken. So it looks better. So today, Chris Davis, I think, is number one in and I think Buster Posey comes up number one in another because he's getting to face a lefty in Colorado, which I think there's only lefty. Now, the lefties in Colorado, I think, are limited to Boulder. I think everyone else is pretty righty there.
I don't know. When I was in Denver, they were all pretty lefty from what I could tell.
I think it's the Denver to Boulder corridor. You'll find
it.
Otherwise, they're all drunk on republicanism and Coors.
See, the beautiful thing about being a guest worker in the U.S. is I can't vote, so I don't talk about politics. But I'll tell you this: when we were driving through, so we spent like 12 hours driving through Kansas, although that multiplied quick with a tire blowout.
Did you find the hill? There's this one point of Kansas that has this certain amount of topography. It's amazing.
But what was crazy was I'm like, okay, we're almost at the Colorado border, and we were excited. It was a long drive, like almost in Colorado. And then for the first 2.5 hours, it was still kind of like exactly Kansas until we finally got to Denver. So, yeah, I get that. It's kind of like, that the eastern part of Colorado was just annexed by Kansas.
Yeah, no, I've yet to do that drive.
Yeah,
but
don't.
I imagine, Canada has vast stretches of nothingness.
Vast stretches of nothing?
Like, I think it is, if you go 10 miles above the border, it's wilderness.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's snow coyotes and the polar bears and delicious mussels.
Yeah, and lots of resources. Lots and lots of resources.
Yeah, no, the seals have high viscosity there, I guess. So, but back to DFSbot.
Okay, actually, let me throw a couple questions at you because I want to take this,
Is this from you or Gareth?
No, this is from me today because, look, you understand this because you built this machine. Actually,
rock and roll.
All the machines. But a couple things, just a couple points. I'll shoot them out and you kind of pick what you want. One is it's amazing how accurate it is. I mean, yesterday, Johnny Gomes, all week, Michael Saunders, and these guys are producing. I mean, I think Saunders in a 5 or 6 game hit streak. But what about when you look at their projected Razzball DFSbot values versus what DraftKings has them ranked as? So, for example, every day Giancarlo is going to be $2,500 overvalued, right? And that's because a lot of guys are just going to say, without thinking, let me take Giancarlo or let me take Tulo.
Yeah.
How do you kind of mix in, because sometimes you do need to overpay for a guy, right? I mean, you do.
Yeah.
It's not just, hey, let me get every single value guy possible. So how would you approach that in terms of a ratio of, okay, I'll overpay a little bit for this guy on the top shelf, but then, you know, I'm going to run out. For example, today, who did I have today? Wade Miley. Sky and I talked about him, but I started him in daily today because, you know, everyone's looking for a couple of really good starters. So to really get ahead in those, I think you really got to hit on those starters. So anyway, back to my question, which was, how do you kind of mix that that grocery basket up?
So I do think I am looking for a couple of stars, like some big bats. It's just making sure when you get Giancarlo, it's a great matchup.
Right.
So I'd say if he's facing a lefty, that's a great matchup. If he's in a better hitter's park, great matchup. If he's facing maybe a really bad pitcher, but but him against an average righty, no. I mean, and it'll see it. So it's not going to be he's always overvalued by 2,500, or like say a Buster Posey. Today he's probably a bargain, but
because he's not playing.
Oh, that's right. It's guaranteed he's not playing today.
Yeah, they say he's coming back Friday. I mean, watch the games.
I think it's like a jinx because Prince Fielder was looked great against a great match against Chris Young yesterday, and he was hurt.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about the big vegan, but actually, what I try to do when I'm actually filling out my roster is work those values in with the Hittertron projections. So for today, I paid for Chris Davis because Chris Davis on the Hittertron's like a $48 play. Right.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't remember his matchup, but I know I'm assuming he's home against a righty.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me, but I think you're right.
Oh wait. Is it Cleveland, Baltimore today?
Yes.
Cleveland doesn't have a pitcher. As of this morning, they didn't know who they were going to start. They didn't tell MLB at least because they had the extra inning game. It was supposed to be Josh Tomlin.
Right.
So they're going to have a scrub pitcher at Baltimore where the ball's – it's a greater homer park for lefties. So Markakis I like as well today. It's just if they throw out a lefty, though, that's going to piss me off.
Yeah, and again, the great thing with DraftKings, you can swap out your guys until last minute.
Yes. So I'd say Chris Davis, take him out if it's a lefty.
Yeah, so I
think they even use Carrasco. I thought Carrasco and Tomlin were their middle relief guys that would throw in a pinch. It might be reliever day. It might be like go 2 innings, Cody Allen, Shaw goes 2 innings.
Tony Sipp gets his first start of the season.
Tony Sipp, yeah. Well, he'd be lefty. I wouldn't like that, but.
Okay, and this is another guy Sky and I touched on today. So Eric Stoltz is pitching for the Hodge Padres. He's $2,500 underpriced.
Yes.
Right? However, what Sky was suggesting today is, look, let's zig when everyone's zagging. Let's start nothing but. He actually didn't like the matchup, even though he was undervalued. He's starting nothing but Cubbies today, or as many as he can get his hands on. What do you think about that kind of strategy?
So on the lineup, he's okay. So I see it. I mean, you definitely don't want to do both.
Okay.
So if you don't want the pitcher and then picking some of the hitters because you'll never get a great day.
Right.
Right. I mean, Stoltz is a bad pitcher. We could start there that he's probably bottom 20th percentile in terms of overall talent, everything.
Okay.
But he's in San Diego. San Diego starts go generally really well, and the Cubs aren't a great offense. Their best hitter is Rizzo. Stoltz the lefty that neutralizes a bit. I like the Stoltz start. He's because his low K rate. There's just such little upside there. I say he's like a poor man's Tommy Malone. I probably wouldn't go with him in the leagues. Maybe he'd be marginal. I have to look at everyone else, but yeah, I'd shy away from Stoltz. Taking the Cubbies at San Diego, though, I mean, I have Junior Lake going in one regular league in the RCL.
Right.
I don't like righties at San Diego. That just doesn't make sense to me. You're not getting a homer.
Breaking news: Justin Masterson, who pitched 4 1/3 innings on Sunday, I believe, is starting tonight for the Tribe.
Well, that doesn't change. I mean, he's generally been good about avoiding homers. He's not avoided anything else this year.
He's a one-pitch pitcher.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, heavy fastballs. I think his heavy fastball, like a sinker, and I thought he had a slider, but no, he really has him pitching on short rest. I don't like it. I might have to after this call slot that in and rerun things, but it's certainly not as good as Josh Tomlin.
Yeah, absolutely.
Although, yeah, and I would not touch Masterson in any league.
No, he shouldn't even be owned. Some of these guys too, because I go through the
comments.
You realize
you said Masterson and Stultz in the same month. That's the Some Kind of Wonderful crew right there.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what?
Wonderful movie. No, you're over.
Give me some more kind of hacks here with the DFSbot.
Right. So the key of the tool is that you've got sorting and filtering capabilities. So throughout, while you're putting your lineup together, you're doing various things. So you might start with, I want 2 big bats. The strategies are really up to the user. You can go, there's no one right way. So maybe I want my 1 or 2 bats I'm going to build around. And, a lot of people likes to start with the pitching. So let's say you do your pitching, you get your 2 big bats. You could scan it right now and look for, who are the guys who are going to get 8 points, 9 points? Who are the big salary guys that are coming at the best bargain? Maybe they're slightly better than their salary. Maybe they're slightly below. Like you like Mike Trout, and today he's got a good matchup. It's a relatively decent value for him. So you go, I'm going Trout. I like the upside. I wouldn't do it today because he's off. But, then you could start sorting by the difference column. So the difference says, DFSbot says he's worth 4,000. They think he's worth 2,000. So it's a 2,000 difference. So you hit the top of that column, sort it by that, start looking for your bargains. The other way, is that you could always filter the report. So there's these little boxes underneath. So a lot of times you're going position by position. That who knows what bargain you want. You might say, how did the second baseman look? You put in 2B, and then you'll see all the guys, and you could sort, by bargain, sort by total points. Just scan it and find your guys. I find I'd rather go in position by position, and as I go through, especially like second base and shortstop, that's positions like if the established hitters aren't good, maybe I'll throw the bargains in there. Outfield, sometimes you could find someone, but the position filters and the sorting functions, make it that throughout that process, I'm hoping that for a hot sheet, I know that's taking you a while to put together because you're thinking through how do I position it for everyone.
Exactly.
My goal is to get people in and out of their lineups as quickly as possible.
So let me kind of give you a wish list item, and this I might be missing it. But it would be great if there was a way to have a star, or I don't know how you do it, but have something next to guys who are hurt or are on day-to-day. Because that's one thing that I'm always checking is, because look, I'm trying to follow all the news. I get up in the morning and I'm inundated, but I double check every single guy to make sure, because I had a couple glitches week 1 where I was like, I didn't realize this guy was out for a couple days.
That one's a tough one because there's nothing official on day-to-day. I mean, it sounds quite directional. So you'll see stuff sometimes when you go into your leagues, and there'll be a note there, but there's nothing. It's hard for me to get that kind of formalized.
You don't need to sleep; just do it all night.
Right. Well, the goal is the more you could automate this stuff, the less errors kind of go in there. So it knows if a guy is in the minor leagues. That was last year. I didn't quite have that. So you'd have like the ghost of Josh Rutledge just haunting Hittertron. So the guy, the next day he's done. If he goes on the DL, the next day he's off. I'll work on the day-to-day. And that one, I'll have to think through. Could be something.
I'm just saying it's a wish list item. Let me throw one last question at you before we wrap up today. And on tomorrow's show, of course, if you have questions for Gray, we will be taking them. Email me, nick@razzball.com, or tweet me at Nick Capozzi. By the way, he's at Rudy Gamble. WOBA. Everyone's talking about WOBA. When I talk daily with Sky, when I talk it with Guru, WOBA. The heck is WOBA?
Weighted on base average.
Okay.
So that's a creation by Tom Tango and his crew. I think MGL and Andy.
Tom Tango has a crew?
Well, they wrote the book. It was like 3 of them.
Okay.
So yeah.
I'm just kidding.
And yeah, so yeah, MGL is a pretty active commenter throughout the interwebs. So yeah, I mean, should I explain it? It uses linear weights, and basically that if you look, a single is going to be worth a certain amount of runs.
Okay.
And if you look at the likelihood of any type of situation, so if it's bases loaded, a single's worth bases loaded 2 outs. A single increases your team's run expectancy by 2 runs maybe. And if you look at all the outcomes and do it right, that basically a single you could say is worth X amount of runs, a double's worth this, triple homer. Walk, same thing. An out obviously has a negative value, and you're able to basically take all that stuff, adjust the projection factor. So for utility, WOBA is supposed to be, forget if it's I think it's the on base percentage. So it's supposed to look like a 400 is very good.
Right.
That's how. So some things are based on the average formula, like FIP is on the ERA formula. That's just kind of some hack work. So when you look at it, you know what's good versus not. So WOBA, I'll say this, or WOBA, for a single stat, it's probably the best projector for an offense's run production. So for Streaminator and for the DFSbot pitching, I'm actually looking at the opposing offense who's likely to start and using their WOBA squared to basically determine what's their offense factor.
I need a tutor. It's like high school all over again.
Yeah, so it is a good one. Like I said, that stuff is factored in where possible for, like, if I have to project runs
right. for
an overall team. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, that stuff's kind of baked into the projections.
And see, I'm taking this course in Rudy metrics, so you don't have to, people. Sweet mother of God. I need a tutor. I have to, every time we do a segment, I need to rewatch it. I'm taking notes.
No, I mean, like, there's so many stats out there. You know, like, what my tool is supposed to be is just dumb it down to, like, what's the guy's dollar value.
Right.
Makes life a lot easier, because the reality is that your WOBA doesn't reflect your stolen base potential. Doesn't, you know, it can show power, but it doesn't differentiate it per se versus a guy's ability to get on base, which is good in OBP leagues. So you really want to see the components split out for fantasy. I basically say that advanced stats like that are fairly useless for the average fantasy person, because you really just want to care, is this guy, does he have power?
Yeah.
Where is he hitting in the lineup? Is that going to affect runs, RBIs? Does he have speed? Does his coach let him run? And then batting average and on base percentage is just separate skills with, you know, I would say from a Sabre perspective, OBP being much more important, but not in a 5x5.
All right. Listen, Rudy, thanks very much for joining us today. Always happy to have you. We'll try and keep you on Thursdays if that works for you. But that's it. That's my man at Rudy Gamble.
So Sky doesn't use up all the time.
That's okay. We'll go into overtime. It's only it's probably, I keep seeing next week, but I just had another meeting with Fantasy Sports Network. Once that happens, right now the shows are kind of going between like 35 and 45 minutes.
Are we offline now?
No, we're not. We're still going here, buddy.
You're just riffing about, you know, like, oh yeah, I'm talking to Fantasy Sport. You're just dropping names.
No,
You're not an MC.
We really are. We're going to be on Fantasy. I've been talking about we're going to be on Fantasy Sports Network for a while, but we are just hashing out the details. But then it'll be formatted, same amount of time every single day, and that'll be like, Sky, get out of here. Right. I won't be able to control it. Now we're just kind of, it's riffing. But we do got to go because we're getting long, Rudy. See ya, buddy. Later.